that this will be one of the first live streaming that we are going to organize. So this live streaming is to analyze the situation in the Middle East after more than 1 week of the conflict between USA, Israel, and Iran. As you know, on Saturday, the 28th of February, 2026, USA and Israel decide to preemptive attack Iran because several reasons. It is important in geopolitics, the narrative, because narrative is part of geopolitics, and it could be also, and geopolitics could be used to justify some political action. If we read the statements by USA administration, also what Trump said, it seems that first of all, the the reason why they conduct this attack was to eliminate the leadership, the governance, to allow a regime change. During the first hours of attacks, they killed the Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei and also several high-ranking figures among the governments and also the military apparatus. But unfortunately for Trump and also Israel, they didn't they didn't accomplish the mission for the government change, and also they didn't push the local people, the citizens, the Iranians, to take the streets and to protest against the central authority. Indeed, what happened was completely different because the targeting civilian structures and also the killing of children, of normal people, pushed more Iranian to protest against the United States and also to be closer to the government. The second narrative was that they needed to preemptively attack Iran because they knew that Iran was close to attack them. Uh, Unfortunately, also for Trump, there are several people also inside the United States that they counter this narrative, stating that Iran and USA were involved in the negotiation process. And also the Omani foreign affairs minister stated that for the first time, Iran agreed on several points, several aspects. Then also Iran didn't agree in the past with Obama with the JCPOA. Also, Trump stated that they needed to destroy completely the Iranian nuclear program. But if you remember well, in June 2025, during the 12 days of Iran-Israel war, when the USA sided back with Israel and conducted airstrikes against the Iranian nuclear facilities, Trump directly stated that they completely obliterated the Iranian nuclear program. It was in June 2025. And after 8 months, it seems that the Iranian managed to completely restore the entire program and also reach the point that were closer to develop the nuclear weapons, even though representative from also the International Energy Association stated that they do not have any kind of sources and evidence which confirms this aspect. Then also we could say that another thing was that Trump stated that Iran had to pay because it is a state which sponsor terrorism, states, and it is not possible. It was not possible to negotiate with Iran for this reason because Iran supports Hezbollah, Hamas, and also Shia militias in Iraq, the Houthi. We cannot deny this. We cannot deny the fact that Iran is true. Was and he is behind these groups and also supporting them. But we should also consider the fact that in the past, Trump's administration dealt and had negotiations, for instance, with the Taliban and for Afghanistan, and they reached the Doha Agreement, and also with Ahmed al-Shara, one also as Anjulani, who in the past was the leader of Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, and was also linked with terrorist groups and organized also killing of USA personnel, military personnel, citizens abroad. So this narrative, unfortunately, creates some problems and issues for United States, and Trump is losing political support, also because every day, according to some analysts and statements, it seems that the USA is spending around $1 billion every day for conducting military strikes. and also for just supporting this conflict. At the same time, there are also consequences for Israel, for Iran. We should say that Iran has been heavily attacked and bombed by the USA and by the Israeli, several high figure rankings, high ranking figures inside the Iranian military apparatus, a scientific program, and also religious apparatus were killed. And there are also civilians killed, more than 1,200, at least some estimations, but probably the figures will increase. At the same time, what is doing Tehran is conducting a strategy which we can say that the military strategies, that the military action, so the retaliations, the missiles against the Gulf Arab countries, against Israel, against the USA military bases in the Middle East, support an economic warfare. Why? Because with the blockade of the Strait of Hormuz, with also the uh, the problems with logistics, the problem with the GCC countries for the economies, they are causing huge troubles for entire financial system, and these have effect also for several USA companies. If you look, for instance, at BlackRock's stocks and shares, they are losing billions of dollars in the since the beginning of this conflict. Another question is how long could this conflict continue? And this is hard to say because we should compare also the military forces, and we do not know how long, for instance, it's possible for Iran to continue to contrast the USA-Israeli airstrikes, particularly USA airstrikes, and also we don't know how many missiles, drones Iran has. This is still hard to believe, hard to assess. What we can say is that if we look at the entire panorama, the geopolitical risk of the region, also the Eurasia, it is increasing, and we can say that it is in a high level. It is a high level because the Iranian conflict can. The USA-Israel-Iranian conflict can affect not just the Persian Gulf, not just the Middle East, but the entire region. The Caucasus, first of all, there were some sources, information which reported that Iranian drone attacked the airport of Nakhchivan in Azerbaijan, and also the Azerbaijani president Ilham Aliyev had harsh words against Tehran, even though Tehran always denied attacking Nakhchivan airports. And there are some fragments of video fragments, some evidence which state that probably the drone wasn't Iranian. But the risk assessment, also the geopolitical risk in the Caucasus, is high. If we consider also that only in August 2025, Armenia and Azerbaijan agree with mediated by the United States for a peace deal, and also Armenia agree on regarding the Trump peace corridor, which involved the Sunni region or the Zangezur corridor, if we want to express like in Azerbaijani do. And in this area, which has shared borders with Iran, and theory, according to the agreements, for 49 years, probably 49 years, USA could manage this area, can have also all civilian personnel, but who knows, probably military personnel. This can, of course, endanger the relations between Armenia and the Islamic Republic of Iran. At the same time, this conflict affects also Central Asia. If we think about that, on the 3rd March 2026, Iran decided to stop any kind of fruit and agricultural produce exports. And this affects, for sure, Kazakhstan, which are countries whose agriculture depends a lot of water resources. But as you know, in the region, we report several times there are troubles for Central Asian water resources, particularly which can affect the cooperation between the Central Asian republics. So also Central Asia is affected. Central Asia is looking for different alternatives. At the same time, some countries just accused or say expressed their concern about the Iranian retaliation, but they didn't condemn USA-Israeli preemptive attack against Iran, for instance, Kazakhstan, and there is a division between the governments, what are expressing, and the local population. If you think, for instance, that in Kyrgyzstan, in Bishkek, in front of the Iranian embassy, the local people they organize an event to commemorate the victims of the first air strikes. At the same time, you should think about that the killing of the Supreme Leader Haile Khamenei has a huge meaning for the Shia community because he was killed. He is a martyr. So this means that he's probably one of the first martyrs that's the contemporary era, if we look at the Shia world. And also, he's pushing a lot of Shia believers to protest against the USA. One case could be Bahrain. And at the same time, it pushes some Sunni Arab countries to consider if being friends of the United States, it's really helpful or can produce some local problems. At the same time, the GCC countries are facing a huge problem for their economies, and they are just they need to face the realities that if this conflict will continue for 3 or 4 weeks, probably they will run out of some goods. Also, they will have an impact on their oil production, oil exports. And the main problem is that if Iran will completely destroy the water and the water factories and desalination infrastructure, they will completely affect the entire Arabian Peninsula. So thanks for your attention. This is one of the first live streamings. We are going to organize a few more live streamings also with some guests. And tomorrow there will be one only in Italian language for our Italian audience, but we are going to organize more. I would like just to remind you that if you want to know more about the situation, if you want to have the tools to analyze the situation, there is one video that we share on our YouTube channel, our social media, but also you can find on our website regarding some useful OSINT tools, for OSINT tools to monitor the situation in the Middle East. We invite you also to have a look at our online course in terrorism analysis that we are going to organize this Saturday from 9 a.m. For 4 hours. Why terrorism matters? Because at the same time that we are covering the Iranian-Israel-USA conflicts, we are so focused on the Middle East, and terrorism groups are still working, are still fighting. For instance, the situation between Afghanistan and Pakistan is so concerning that Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan organizes some terrorist attacks against Islamabad's troops, and during the same times that Islamabad is fighting against the Taliban. But also, we wrote a report regarding the possible of cyber jihad, the increase of cyber jihad attacks against a specific infrastructure, and terrorist groups that can exploit the situation on the ground, filling the vacuum that these conflicts can create, but also on the cyberspace, try to exploit the situation to attack some specific infrastructure, to cause more damages and to cause more disappointment among the local population in the Middle East and the neighboring areas. In April, we will have our famous and well-known course in geopolitical intelligence analysis. It will be, if I'm not mistaken, the 11th of April 2026 on Saturday, and I invite you to have a look. So thanks again for your attentions, and I wish you a good day, a good beginning of the week. Let's stay in touch, and if you can reach SpecialEurasia via email for any kind of consulting, for any kind of products for our trainings. Thanks. Bye-bye.